Michael Jordan finds a childhood trophy in a pawn shop, then breaks down. The door creaked as Michael Jordan stepped into the dimly lit pawn shop on the edge of Chicago. He hadn't planned to stop. He was just killing time waiting for a friend, maybe looking for old records or something strange to laugh about later. But the air smelled like dust and forgotten memories, and something about that felt oddly familiar. He moved slowly, eyes skimming the cluttered shelves. Rows of vintage watches, broken radios, chipped porcelain dolls, a few faded jerseys on hangers. Nothing caught his eye until he turned down the narrow aisle near the back. That's when he saw it. A small, gold-painted basketball trophy. Faded, scratched, a little crooked at the top. The kind kids win at summer leagues. It was tucked between a cracked snow globe and an old music box. He stopped breathing. The plaque at the base read, Michael J. Jordan, MVP, 1975. His heart thudded in his chest. That couldn't be. That trophy was supposed to be gone. Lost forever in the fire that burned down his childhood home back in Wilmington. He hadn't thought about it in decades, but he remembered exactly how it felt to hold it. The first taste of real victory. The first time he believed he might be something. He picked it up. The weight was unmistakable. The dent near the base. The worn grip from years of holding it too tight. His fingers trembled as he held it close like it might vanish again. Need help with something? The man behind the counter asked, glancing up from a newspaper. Michael carried it over slowly. Where did you get this? The man squinted. That? Been here a few months. Guy brought it in. Paid in coins. Didn't say much. Just wanted a little cash. Figured it was junk, honestly. Had to dust it twice. Michael leaned forward. Do you remember what he looked like? Old. Maybe in his 70s. Limped a little. Didn't give his name. Looked like he hadn't eaten in a day. Said it was time to let go of the past. Michael's throat tightened. He reached into his wallet, pulled out $100 bill, and dropped it on the counter. The man shrugged. You sure? It's just an old trophy. I'm sure. Outside, the city buzzed, but Michael barely heard it. He sat in his car, holding the trophy on his lap like a fragile piece of history. His mind raced back through the years. That summer league was everything. He was 12, short for his age, but fast. He remembered the coach yelling at him to pass more. To focus. To be better. That coach. Coach Ray Dawson. Hard-nosed, always yelling, never smiling. But he pushed him. Harder than anyone ever had. Michael had never really said goodbye to Coach Ray. When Michael got cut from the varsity team a few years later, he blamed him, even though Ray had nothing to do with it. They never spoke again. He heard the coach left town. Disappeared. But now, the limp. The age. Could it be him? He called an old friend from the neighborhood, Darnell, who still coached youth leagues in South Chicago. You remember Coach Ray Dawson? Man, that's a name I haven't heard in years. He still around? I think he brought something of mine into a pawn shop. No way. I need to find him. Darnell hesitated. I'll ask around. I think someone said he was living out near 83 RD, haven't seen him in person though. Thought he passed, honestly. Michael hung up. That night, he didn't sleep. The trophy sat on his nightstand like a ghost. He kept glancing at it, remembering the sting of Ray's whistle, the booming voice calling him soft for missing a free throw, the rare but proud nod after he hustled hard on defense. The man was rough, but real. The next day, he called in favors. Security footage. Contacts. A few old strings he could still pull. And then it happened. A grainy image popped up from the pawn shop's camera feed. A timestamp from 3 months ago. An old man, bent slightly, walking slowly with a cane. The camera was bad, but Michael paused it. The limp. The face. The same worn jacket he remembered from youth games. Coach Ray. Michael leaned back in his chair, the air sucked from his lungs. Why had he pawned it? Why now? He didn't need the money. Michael had offered to help him once, years ago, through a foundation. The coach declined. Proud to a fault. But this? Selling the trophy? That meant something else. Something deeper. Later that day, Darnell called back. Found him. He's living in an apartment above a mechanic's shop on 83rd. No phone. Keeps to himself. Place isn't great. You really want to see him? Michael didn't answer right away. Then he said, yeah, I do. That night, Michael drove out there. No bodyguards. No cameras. Just him and the trophy in the passenger seat. The neighborhood hadn't changed much. Still rough. Still alive. He parked in front of the shop and looked up. The upstairs window glowed faintly. He didn't go up yet. He just sat there, gripping the trophy again. So many years had passed. So many rings. So many headlines. But none of that erased what this little gold statue meant. It was the spark. The beginning. The proof that greatness could grow from struggle. And the man who saw it first? He was still up there. But why had he let it go? Michael stepped out of the car, trophy in hand, heart pounding. He walked to the door, paused, and knocked. The sound of footsteps. Slow. Hesitant. The door creaked open. Coach Ray stood there, older, thinner, face lined with time, but his eyes, still sharp. They stared at each other. No words. Just years of silence pressing in between them. Then Michael lifted the trophy and whispered, "Why'd you let this go?" Ray looked at it, then at Michael. And in a voice roughened by age and regret, he said, "Because I thought maybe it'd find its way back to you." Michael stood there, frozen in the doorway, the trophy still in his hand. The way Coach Ray had said it, quiet, simple, full of meaning, cut deeper than any speech. Ray stepped back slowly. "You coming in, or just gonna stand there holding that thing all night?" Michael walked in. The apartment was small. A fan hummed in the corner. The walls were bare, except for a few framed photos, most of them faded. A wrinkled couch sat under the window. On the table, there were 2 pill bottles, a cup of cold tea, and a weathered coaching clipboard. Ray sat down with a groan and motioned for Michael to take the chair across from him. "So," Ray said, "you found the trophy." Michael nodded, eyes still on him. "I thought it was gone." From the fire. Ray let out a dry chuckle. "It was. You remember that night? Your house burned, but I showed up with a bucket, trying to be the hero. Your mom told me to get back, but I ran in anyway. Grabbed what I could from your room before the flames got worse. That trophy was one of them." Michael blinked. "You never told me. You were too mad at me to talk. After the whole varsity team thing, you stopped listening. I figured maybe it was better to let it go." Michael stared at the old man. "Why'd you keep it all these years?" Ray looked down at his hands. "Because I knew. I knew what you were gonna be. I saw it in you before anybody else did. That trophy? That was your first real win. Your first proof that you were more than just another kid from Wilmington." Silence hung heavy. Ray continued, "You hated me after you got cut. Blamed me. Thought I didn't believe in you. Truth is, I believed in you too much. That's why I pushed so hard. I wasn't trying to make you feel small, I was trying to make sure you never settled." Michael shifted in his seat. "I didn't understand back then. I know. You weren't supposed to. Not at that age. But you got better. I watched from afar. Every game, every championship. I kept tabs. You ever wonder who sent your mom those clippings when you were at Carolina? That was me." Michael blinked hard. She never said. She didn't know either. I wanted to be part of the journey, even if you didn't want me around. Michael exhaled. So why pawn it now? Why not call me? Ray laughed bitterly. Pride. Foolish pride. And the meds weren't cheap. I didn't want to ask for help. Thought if I gave that trophy up, maybe it'd make its way back to you on its own. Seemed poetic, you know? Michael looked around the room. This where you been all these years? Ray nodded. Coached a few schools. Did some camps. Then I got sick. Couldn't run up and down the court anymore. Parents stopped calling. No one wants an old coach who can't yell loud. Michael leaned forward. You still have that clipboard. Still got that fire. Ray chuckled. You saying you need a coach? I'm saying, Michael paused, you were always mine. Whether I said it or not. Ray's eyes glistened for a moment, but he looked away. Michael stood and started pacing. You shaped me. More than most people ever knew. I've had a lot of coaches since then, but none who put the fire in me the way you did. I resented you for years. Thought you were the enemy. But that pressure? That's what made me chase greatness like my life depended on it. Ray smiled weakly. You chased it better than anyone I ever saw. Michael turned to him. You said you watched. Why didn't you reach out after I made it? When I won the first title? Or the third? Ray took a slow breath. Because I didn't want anything from you. I wanted to know I was right about you. That was enough. Michael shook his head. You should have said something. I'm saying it now. They sat there in silence. No more defenses. No more myths. Just two men, years apart but tied by the same game. Then Ray coughed, deep, dry. He reached for a tissue and wiped his mouth, but Michael caught the red stain before he could hide it. You sick? Ray nodded. Lungs gone bad. Docs say it's late stage. I've got months, maybe. Doesn't matter. It matters, Michael said. I'm not scared. I've seen my best days. My biggest fear was dying and you never knowing how proud I was. Michael picked up the trophy again. You kept this for decades. Just to remind yourself of that moment? No, Ray replied. To remind myself I wasn't wrong about you. That a kid with a chip on his shoulder could become the greatest. And maybe, just maybe, that meant I did one thing right in my life. Michael's voice dropped. You did more than one thing right. A knock came at the door. It was the landlord, checking in. Ray waved him off. Michael stood and looked at Ray. I'll be back tomorrow. Ray raised an eyebrow. You don't have to. I want to. Ray nodded. Michael paused at the door. There's a camp next week for underprivileged kids. I was planning to make an appearance. You think you've got one last speech left in you? Ray's eyes lit up. You serious? I want them to hear from the man who made me. You game? Ray smiled. Hell yeah. Michael nodded. Rest up, coach. He left the apartment, trophy tucked under his arm. Out on the street, the city felt different. Like something had shifted. He had carried that drive, that fire, for so many years, and now he finally understood where it started. Not in arenas. Not in championships. But in a dusty gym, under the watchful eyes of a coach who saw more than talent, he saw purpose. And now? Now it was time to return the favor. The gym echoed with the bouncing of basketballs, the squeak of sneakers, and the chatter of kids who didn't know who they were in the presence of yet. Michael Jordan stood off to the side, arms crossed, watching them run drills. Most of them were too young to remember his prime. But that didn't matter. This camp wasn't about nostalgia. It was about planting something in them, something real. He looked at the bleachers where Coach Ray sat, bundled in a black hoodie, clipboard resting on his knees, watching the kids like it was 1980 all over again. His breathing was slow, deliberate. The oxygen tank sat beside him. But his eyes were sharp. Michael walked over. "You ready?" he asked. Ray smirked. "You act like I haven't been waiting for this moment for 20 years. Michael helped him to his feet. The gym quieted as he led Coach Ray to center court. He didn't have to say anything. His presence alone pulled every kid to silence. Ray looked around, smiled, and took the mic. "I'm not going to give you some long speech," he began, voice gravelly but clear. "I'm not here to tell you what you can or can't be. I'm here to tell you one thing: when you get knocked down, don't stay there. You hear me?" The kids nodded. He pointed to Michael. "That man right there? When he was your age, he got cut. Not once. Multiple times. And every time, he came back harder. Hungrier. He didn't cry about it. He worked. And that work, that's what made him who he is." Ray paused, taking a breath. "You don't need to be the biggest, fastest, or most talented. You need to be the one who refuses to quit. That's it. That's the whole secret." The gym applauded. Some of the younger coaches cheered. Michael clapped the loudest. Later that afternoon, after the drills ended and the kids swarmed for autographs and photos, Michael sat with Ray in the bleachers. "You killed it out there," he said. Ray grinned. "I miss that smell. Gym sweat and rubber soles. Nothing like it." Michael handed him a folder. "I wanted you to see this." Ray opened it. Inside was the paperwork for the newly launched Coach Ray Foundation. It would fund coaching clinics in inner-city neighborhoods, provide scholarships for student athletes, and sponsor a summer league in his name. Ray stared at the papers, silent. Michael added, "The logo's your old whistle. You remember the one with the chipped edge?" Ray nodded slowly, emotion creeping in. "You didn't have to do this." "I know," Michael said. "I wanted to." They sat in silence for a while, watching the kids play one last scrimmage. "Thank you," Ray said finally, his voice cracking. Michael nodded. "You gave me everything and asked for nothing. This is the least I can do." Ray didn't speak again. He just watched. In the weeks that followed, Michael made regular visits. Sometimes they just talked basketball. Other times they sat quietly, listening to games on the radio. Michael introduced Ray to teammates who never knew his name but owed him just the same. Then came the night Michael got the call. Ray had passed in his sleep. No pain. No warning. Just gone. The funeral was small. Michael paid for everything, but kept it simple, just like Ray would have wanted. He spoke last, standing in front of a quiet crowd of former players, old neighbors, and a few of Ray's extended family. He wasn't just a coach, Michael said. He was a spark. For every kid who felt overlooked, for every player who got cut, he showed us that fight matters more than talent. He changed my life. And because of that, he helped change the world. He pulled the trophy from a small case beside the podium. "This is the first thing I ever won. I thought I lost it forever. Turns out, Coach had been holding onto it for decades." Michael looked down at the trophy, then back at the crowd. "I don't need this on my shelf anymore. It belongs where it started." He walked to the casket, set the trophy gently inside, and stepped back. The service ended with no grand displays. Just a quiet gym full of people who understood what greatness looked like, before the cameras, before the fame. A month later, the first Coach Ray Dawson Summer League tipped off in South Chicago. Jerseys bore his initials. Banners with the foundation logo hung over the courts. Coaches from around the country came to volunteer. Kids who didn't know his name before now shouted it with pride. Michael sat in the stands, watching it unfold. A younger coach ran over between games. "Mr. Jordan." One of the players wants to meet you, said he just learned your story and won't stop asking questions. Michael smiled. Send him over. A boy jogged over, barely 10, ball in hand, eyes wide. Is it true you got cut from the team when you were young? Michael nodded. It's true. The boy hesitated. But you kept going? Every day. The boy looked down at his shoes, then back up. I got cut last week. I was gonna quit. But my coach said I should try again. Michael leaned in. You should. That's when it matters most. The boy grinned and ran off, energized. Michael leaned back, watching the court. In that moment, it wasn't about legacy or stats. It was about the ripple of a single coach's belief. About one trophy that traveled through fire, time, and regret to find its way home. He closed his eyes for a moment and smiled. Coach Ray didn't just make a player. He made a man. And that man would make sure the world never forgot him.